Have you ever felt alone in a crowded room? Or perhaps the silence at home feels louder than it used to? If this feeling is familiar, know that you are, ironically, not alone. We are living through what public health experts are calling the loneliness epidemic after 50. This isn't a mere passing feeling of sadness. It's a chronic condition affecting millions, and modern science is beginning to understand it as a serious threat to our health, as dangerous as smoking or obesity. As we go through major life transitions, retirement, children leaving home, the loss of loved ones, our social networks can naturally shrink. What was once a vibrant circle of work, colleagues, friends, parents, and neighbors can become a distant echo. This video isn't about lamenting this reality, but about confronting it head-on, backed by scientific evidence and practical strategies. If you've felt disconnected and want to understand not just why this happens, but how to actively build your tribe for a healthier, happier life, stick with us. Subscribe to the channel as we explore together paths to a more connected and healthier life. Because the science behind loneliness's impact on our bodies is simply astounding and something we all need to understand. The impact of loneliness extends far beyond mental health. It manifests physically, in concrete and measurable ways. Rigorous research, published in prestigious medical journals like The Lancet and the Journal of the American Medical Association, has consistently demonstrated a chilling link between chronic social isolation and a host of health problems. But how can a feeling cause real physical damage? The answer lies in our evolutionary biology. Our bodies interpret social isolation as a threat to survival, activating the same fight or flight response that would be triggered by physical danger. This results in the chronic release of stress hormones, primarily cortisol. In small doses, cortisol is helpful, but when its levels remain consistently elevated, it wreaks havoc. One of the most damaging effects is low-grade systemic inflammation. Imagine a small fire constantly burning inside your arteries, joints, and organs. This chronic inflammation is a known risk factor for nearly every major adult disease. A landmark study published in the journal Heart revealed that loneliness and social isolation can increase the risk of a heart attack by 29% and a stroke by 32%. This is a powerful statistic that places loneliness on par with risk factors like high blood pressure and cholesterol. Our bodies, in essence, react to loneliness as if under constant siege, and this internal battle has profound consequences for our cardiovascular and immune health. But the impact doesn't stop at the heart. It travels up to our body's control center, the brain. The chronic inflammation and stress we've discussed don't just affect our circulatory system. They also cross the blood-brain barrier, directly impacting our brain health. Modern neuroscience is increasingly clear. Brain health is intrinsically linked to our social lives. Systemic inflammation is a major driver behind cellular damage that can lead to neurodegenerative diseases. Longitudinal studies, tracking people for decades, have found a strong and concerning correlation. Older adults who report feeling lonely have a significantly higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. The reason is twofold. First, there's the physiological damage of inflammation. Second, there's the lack of brain exercise. Social interaction is one of the most complex activities our brain undertakes. It requires us to process language, interpret nonverbal cues, access memories, and formulate responses in real time. It's a full workout for various brain regions. When this stimulation diminishes, our cognitive reserve, the brain's ability to withstand damage, also decreases. Beyond cognitive decline, loneliness directly attacks our mental well-being. Humans are neurobiologically wired for connection. Positive social interactions release a cocktail of beneficial neurotransmitters, like oxytocin, which promotes feelings of trust and bonding, and serotonin, which regulates mood. The chronic absence of these interactions creates a chemical vacuum, making the brain more susceptible to depression and anxiety. A dangerous vicious cycle forms. Loneliness fuels depression, and depression leads us to isolate ourselves further. Understanding this biology of loneliness is crucial. It's not a personal weakness, but a real physiological condition. Now that we've seen the severity of the problem, the most important question is, what can we do about it? How can we, practically and intentionally, start rebuilding our connections and building our tribe? The first step to building your tribe doesn't involve leaving your home, joining a club, or learning a new app. The first step, and perhaps the most difficult, happens entirely within your mind. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. As we age, we can internalize limiting narratives about friendship and socializing. Thoughts like, it's too late to make new friends, people already have their own closed circles, or, I have nothing interesting to offer, become invisible but powerful barriers. The science of cognitive behavioral therapy teaches us that these thoughts aren't facts, they are simply mental habits. The first practical action, therefore, is the act of challenging and reframing these beliefs. For example, when the thought it's too late arises, consciously confront it with a new perspective. My vast life experience makes me a wiser, more empathetic, and more interesting friend than I was in my 20s. When the fear of bothering someone surfaces, reframe it as, just like me, many people my age are also looking for connection. My initiative might be the gift someone is waiting for. This process is about giving yourself permission to try. Researcher Brené Brown speaks extensively about how vulnerability is the birthplace of connection. Initiating a conversation, inviting someone for coffee, joining a new group. All of these require a small dose of vulnerability. The courage to be seen without guarantees of acceptance. Recognizing and accepting this is liberating. What thought most prevents you from seeking new connections? Share it in the comments. Let's create a supportive community right here, proving that shared vulnerability is already the start of connection. Once we open this mental door, the path to the external world becomes much less intimidating. And that's where we can start using concrete strategies to find people with whom we truly connect. With your mindset adjusted and the door open to new possibilities. The most effective and least daunting strategy for finding people is to focus on interests you already possess. Trying to make friends from scratch can feel like a monumental task. But finding people who like the same things I do is a much more manageable and natural goal. The science behind this is simple. Shared interests provide an immediate and authentic starting point for conversation. They remove the pressure of generic small talk and create an environment of mutual enthusiasm. When we participate in an activity we love, like gardening, hiking, or painting, our brains release endorphins and dopamine, creating a positive association not only with the activity itself, but also with the people we share it with. This is what social psychologists call social bonding through shared experience. The possibilities are vast and can be adapted to any level of mobility or interest. Think about what genuinely lights you up. If you love nature, look for local hiking groups or bird-watching clubs. If your passion is knowledge, explore lifelong learning courses, book clubs at local libraries, or chess groups in the park. For creative souls, watercolor classes, pottery workshops, or a community choir might be the perfect environment. The secret, according to research on friendship formation, is consistency. The mere exposure effect suggests we tend to develop a preference for people we see regularly. Therefore, it's not about making a single visit. Committing to attending a group weekly or bi-weekly builds the familiarity and trust that are the foundation of any solid friendship. But what if local options are limited, or mobility is a challenge? Surprisingly, the very technology, often blamed for isolation, can, when used correctly, be a powerful bridge to connection. In today's world, it's impossible to discuss connection without addressing the role of technology. While passive social media use, the act of endlessly scrolling through others' highlight reels, can indeed increase feelings of loneliness and inadequacy. Active and intentional use of the internet can be a transformative tool for building your tribe, especially for those in rural areas or with reduced mobility. The key is to shift from passive consumer to active participant. Studies on the well-being of older adults show that engagement in niche online communities is correlated with a significant decrease in loneliness. The beauty of the internet is its ability to connect us with people based on incredibly specific interests, no matter where they are. To implement this safely and effectively, start with familiar platforms. On Facebook, for example, instead of just viewing your grandchildren's photos, use the search bar to find groups like Orchid Lovers Over 60, Historical Fiction Book Club, or Classic Film Buffs. Participate in discussions, comment on others' posts, and share your own experiences. Websites like Meet, while more focused on in-person gatherings, also host many online events. Safety, of course, is paramount. The golden rule is to never share financial information or sensitive personal data. Be wary of anyone asking for money or declaring eternal love very quickly. Start by interacting in public group spaces before accepting private conversations. If you decide to meet someone in person, always choose a public, well-trafficked location for the first meeting. The ultimate goal might be to transition these online connections into real-world friendships. But don't underestimate the value of a purely digital tribe. Having people with whom to share your passions, seek advice, and simply chat can be a powerful antidote to isolation. Now that we have strategies for finding people, whether in person or online, how do we take the crucial next step? Transforming a casual acquaintance into a true friend, a member of your tribe. Beyond interest groups, a powerful and often underestimated strategy is volunteering. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology revealed that older adults who volunteered at least 100 hours per year, which equates to just 2 hours a week, reported significantly lower levels of loneliness and a greater sense of purpose. The mechanism behind this is multifaceted. First, volunteering places you in a structured environment with a shared goal, removing the pressure of having to make friends and allowing connections to arise naturally from shared work. Second, it activates the brain's reward centers associated with altruism, releasing neurotransmitters like dopamine and oxytocin, which not only make us feel good but also facilitate social bonding. Choose a cause that resonates with you, whether it's helping at an animal shelter, reading to children at a library, or assisting at a food bank. Safe implementation here is crucial. Start with a small commitment, perhaps a few hours a month, to ensure it fits into your routine without becoming a source of stress. Vet the organization's reputation and choose activities compatible with your physical capabilities. The act of contributing to something larger than yourself creates a powerful antidote to isolation, building your tribe not just on hobbies, but on shared values. These actions are robust behavioral interventions, but it's vital to understand how they fit into the bigger picture of your health, especially if loneliness has already left deeper marks. It's fundamental to recognize that while these strategies for building your tribe are incredibly effective, they are a part of the solution, not the complete solution, especially when chronic loneliness has already impacted your mental or physical health. With that, we arrive at our most important disclaimer. This video and the information contained herein are for educational purposes and do not in any way substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The loneliness epidemic after 50 is a serious public health issue, and its effects, such as clinical depression, chronic anxiety, and increased cardiovascular risk, require professional attention. If you feel that loneliness is profoundly affecting your well-being, causing persistent sadness, loss of interest, or physical symptoms, the bravest and most important step is to seek out a doctor or mental health professional. They can assess your situation comprehensively and recommend the best course of action, which may include therapy, medication, and, of course, the social connection strategies we've discussed. Think of these tips as powerful tools to complement a healthcare plan, not replace it. Rebuilding your social life is a journey of self-care and rediscovery. It's not about becoming who you were, but about becoming the connected, engaged person you can be now. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below sharing one way you found or refound an important connection later in life. Your story could be the inspiration someone else needs to take the first step.